We love you. You ready?
Alright.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Facts of Life. I am your host, Zakia, and these are the facts of my life. Before we get started, stop what you're doing, subscribe to the podcast on Apple, SoundCloud, iHeart, Stitcher, Google Play, and Spotify if that is your jam. And remember that this podcast is designed to speak your truth and reach your highest and best self. Period. Okay, so I have somebody joining me for this episode, and she is my sister from another mister, my homegirl from down the street, you know what I mean? Say hi to Joy, everybody.
Hey y'all. Hey.
Hey, thank you for joining us on this episode. We appreciate you.
Of course.
Thank you for coming, pulling up, showing love. Anything you want the people to know they need from you?
Not right now.
Not right now?
I'm sure I'll give them some. I'll give it to them eventually.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. How are you living your best life?
Ooh, man. Trying to recharge. Refocus.
Yes. That's important. That's
2020
important.
has been a ride, so.
Right. And we're still in the middle of a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea when this episode of Black Mirror is going to end. But I hope it ends really quickly because I'm over it. And, like, I tried not to let this shit affect me. Like, I really did a good job of getting through it without crying. I ended up breaking down in June because I was just like, I had enough. I had enough of this shit.
I'm glad you did. I broke down a couple times this year.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I had enough. And so I definitely did break down. But I'm glad that you're getting the opportunity to recharge and reset. That's important because, you know, we pile all this shit on our plate, whether it's work, whatever it is. And so it can be challenging sometimes. It can be challenging. And you getting away from the humidity as well.
Yes.
So I'm happy for you.
I get to go back home for a little while. Home is California.
Yes.
It's just temporary.
Come on, palm trees.
Yes.
Palm trees and pools.
I'm good.
The water is blue, okay? All right. I'm living my best life. Oh, so I got approved for my new place.
Whoop, whoop.
So your girl gonna be, let me make sure I'm doing it right. Third ward shorty, you feel me? You feel me? We going up in the third ward, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm moving to the other side of town. I've been living in West Chase for a really, really long time. Like, I've been on that side of town for a long time. So I'm really excited to be moving to the other side of town because I've just felt like my energy and my spirit has been really connected to that side of town. And I don't know what my exact purpose is for being over there, but I don't know. It's gonna come when when I move over there, and I'll find out. But I really like the third ward. I'll be closer to the city. So if you are from the East Coast and you're unsure about Houston third ward, it's like living in Manhattan almost. Like living in Soho or some shit. You know, like even though I'm not in like downtown Houston, but it's like I'm pretty close, so it's like I have access to go to Midtown or go to downtown and go to the Heights, whatever is floating my boat. And I really like that I'm getting to the point where I'm speaking up for my needs. You know, like it took some time, but I'm speaking up for my needs, like when it comes to people, relationships, and when it comes to my job too. Like I'm not taking it anymore. Like, you know, I kind of like lay low at my job because like I didn't feel like I was gonna be there a really long time, so I really didn't speak up and say anything. So now that I know that I may not be leaving anytime soon, as of right now, I shouldn't say that. I am leaving soon. I didn't speak that
for right now.
Yeah, I'm working it out for right now. I need to speak that to existence. I am leaving that job soon. I don't know when.
On your own accord.
On my own accord. I want to be able to walk into that office and put in my 2 weeks, motherfucker. Bye. That's what I want to do.
Just don't do it that way.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't do it that way. But, yeah, speaking up for my needs and just finding tools to speak up for my needs. Not even only with that, but just like unpacking trauma with my therapist and being intentional in therapy. So it's like I've been really putting in work in therapy. Like y'all don't even know. Like I feel like so good. Like backstory context. Like I kind of been going to therapy since pretty much my dad died, and like it's like I've been going. And my mom put me in therapy because she knew that him dying was going to be a traumatic or, you know, a life-changing thing in my life. And it was like, I kind of went, and it was like whatever type shit or whatever. But I never really got to the point where it's like, my therapist is actually giving me homework to do. And I'm like really like using the tools that she's giving me to like apply to my life and to like elevate my life and make my life better. So I'm really grateful for that. So that's how I'm living my best life.
Well, it seems like it's working. So.
You, girl, you feel me? Like, nah, I'm just kidding. But I hope it is. I really, really hope it is. Yeah, because I eventually, you know, we get to the point where your girl is knocking on that 3-0, so I can't be.
Well, you still like 2 years away?
No!
Wait.
Next
you
year.
are 29.
Yeah.
I'm 30 next week.
Yes. Happy birthday, Joy.
Thank you.
We celebrating this weekend, but happy birthday.
Thank you.
But yeah, I just want to make sure that, and like, I remember when I first, last thing about therapy. But when I first started therapy, like, you know, when I moved here, again, I should say, because I was going to therapy in undergrad, but that lady just wanted me to be on some goddamn meds, and that's why I'd be like, fuck these meds, you know? But anyway, she did put me on meds. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. But what was I gonna say? I forgot. I lost my damn train of thought being a clown.
You're talking about
Therapy. When I started going to therapy again, right? I wanted to make changes and make improvements because, like, I started getting the feeling that I wanted to have children, you know? Like, I never really had this feeling until, like, I moved here to Houston, and I kind of, like, saw people having children and families. I was like, oh, shit,
Yeah,
like,
that
that's a
was
thing.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, shit, people really out here having multiple children.
Whole family.
At, like, 3, 4. And, like, they're, like, my age, and I'm just like, what? That's not really a thing back home. Like, you don't really see those examples back home unless you're, like, older and, like, your mid-30s or early 40s type shit, you know?
Don't say older.
I'm sorry. We not old. I know we not old, but I'm just saying, like, when I was living in Connecticut, like, people that were older than me in those age range, like, they were having the children. Yeah, I knew that I wanted to start having children. I knew that I had to make changes in my life because, like, I didn't want the behaviors that I had previously for my children to have these behaviors or to be subjected to me being angry and, you know, yelling at them. Like we talked about on the effective communication episode, like, I didn't want to do that, you know? Like, I wanted them to grow up in a loving environment. I want them to talk to me and, like, have conversation and be loved and be kind and be nice. And so that's one of the reasons why, like, I keep going to therapy, because it's like I can't have my children you know, growing up, be like, yeah, my mom yelled at me, she beat me. Like, I don't want to do all that. You know what I mean?
No, but that's good to actually prepare.
Right.
Like, family planning is a thing.
Right.
And it's no shade to anybody that, you know, their family was a surprise.
Right.
But it's okay, like, you can plan for your family, and I think that's good that you're going to therapy, trying to work on things to ensure that, you know, you'll be a healthy wife and mother if that's what you choose.
Yes, ma'am. I'm working on it. You feel me?
Yeah.
All right. So last night, we had some iconic moments in the hip hop R&B culture with Brandy and Monica. And I know we kind of were briefly talking about that before we started recording, about how you know, it's hard to compare them because, like, they kind of sing differently, their vocals are different, and their content of what they talk about in their songs is also really different as well. And one of the things that stuck up to me with Monica and her music is that, oh, excuse me, is that she, well, somebody said this on Twitter, but she was the woman, she sings for the women. She sings for the women that want to stay for the kids. How you feel about that?
But you know, she said she was an emotional person. Like, she said.
See, I didn't watch the whole battle.
She was talking about how she was like this emotional person because Brandy was talking about love and being single, and Monica was like, "Nah, girl, I want love. Like, y'all know I'm single now, but you know, I desire that." She said she was an emotional person, so
right.
You know, even in her music, like, she talks about being a ride or die and staying. That's not me, but you know, that's how she's built. So I think, you know, that's right.
Right. She's, and in high school we said, yeah, if that's for her, I love it, you know. And it's funny because in high school, like, we went hard on Monica, and I don't even know why or how we got access to these songs, but when she played Sideline, whole ass.
I was like, oh,
I was like, why was I singing this in the 11th grade, in the 12th grade? Use a hoe, you, like, why?
We were listening to a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we did listen to a lot of stuff, especially Usher. He was big in high school for me too. Like,
he ain't even the worst.
And he was cheating. He was doing a lot of cheating, so his music was really, really good. I can't advocate for that now, but
you're not a Brandy fan. You were just all Team Monica.
No, I love Brandy, and I love them both. I should say that I love them both. But I would say, like, growing up, like, I was listening to more Brandy than I was of Monica. And then, like, I would say high school, I kind of started getting into Monica more because the girls that I was hanging out with, they used to listen to that shit. They loved that shit because they was all in relationships. So it was like they was dealing with their niggas cheating and all that other bullshit or whatever. And I was just like, okay. I didn't really have a I had boyfriends in high school, but not really, like, how my other friends did. It was just like, I had one boyfriend in high school. That was pretty much it. And it was like, after that, it was like, I was just going with the wind, flowing with the wind. You feel me? I had to find a prom day like 2 weeks before prom. Like, that's how much I was not talking to men.
I went to school with a lot of clear people. So I don't think anybody was checking for me.
I got you.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But speaking of Monica staying and moving on, not moving on, staying for the kids and the children, I'm an advocate for letting go and moving on. And, you know, it's been a year. I want to congratulate myself because I was in this situationship last year, right? And I was looking through my journals or whatever, and I was writing about this nigga, like, all the time. I was just like, I'm about to leave this nigga. I need to leave. I was like, I'm not talking to this nigga. I'm not fucking with him, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I'm not doing this. I need to move on. And it took me some time, but I finally let go and moved on. And it's been a year since I talked to him. And I feel so good about that because it was challenging. It was really challenging for me. But yeah, have you ever been in a situationship or a friendship And you can't seem to move on. Is it challenging for you to move on?
I would say with friendships, I haven't had that many friendship breakups that I can really think of. Maybe one, and it was very easy. They made it very easy for me.
Yeah.
Because they kind of violated, and so once they confessed, they kind of already knew. So I was like,
Right.
oh man, thanks for making this easy.
Right.
But I haven't really had friendship breakups. Romantic, yes. Hard to leave, yes. But I think it really just came down to where, like, I always feel like you got to take as much time as you need, because I wouldn't want to spend the rest of my life with the wrong person.
Right.
So that's kind of all what I guess kind of got me to that point. Like, what do you want the rest of your life to look like?
Right.
And I can only think that you can really ruin your life being attached to the wrong person. So I feel like that was like my motivator.
Right.
So I've definitely, but still, that didn't make it any easier trying to leave. So I've definitely been there.
Yeah, I think it's hard to move on because, you're invested because of time. You have memories, there's emotions. Depending on what type of relationship you're in, there's sex involved. So, and depending on how good or bad it is, that's going to determine, like, whether or not you want to move on or how quick you want to move on. And sometimes money is a factor too. Like, if you're being financially supported, like, that can be a huge I never been in a situation where I was holding on because of money. Like, I never felt that or experienced that, but that's the case for some people. But a year later, after moving on from that situation, like, I'm an advocate for moving on and letting people go, because you never know, like, what's on the other side of you letting go and moving on. And I think a lot of us, we get caught up in staying because we're afraid of the unknown, and we don't know what life looks like with the other person. Have you ever experienced, like, being afraid of the unknown?
I mean, I think just afraid of losing the person just because you have the emotional attachment. I have been in a position where I felt like I wasn't gonna find another person for me specifically. Like, I'd meet someone good, but someone that's, like, good for joy kind of thing. But I'm pretty confident that I'll meet somebody again and move on. I'm not really pressed about age. I'm coming up on 30. That's kind of a thing for, especially being a woman, because you feel like my clock's ticking and this and that. I don't feel that kind of pressure at all.
Society is a bitch. And society is, you remember how DJ Khaled be like, society is they. Like, society don't even exist sometimes, because it's like, they put all this pressure on us to have children by a certain age, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, you want me to just have children with anybody and everybody, like, and I think that's what
causes you to settle, because you feel like clock's ticking, I gotta just pick anybody. But if you think, like, you can't just have a child with anybody,
right? And that's how you possibly end up on welfare. It's a huge possibility, because it's like, I'm not saying this is the case for everybody, but depending on how vulnerable and how desperate, yes, I am using desperate, because sometimes we get to the point where we're desperate you are, you may end up with somebody that will just have you out here looking all types of crazy and being crazy or whatever. So it's like, you just gotta let go.
I say I've dated Satan's nephew. That's what I would like to name him. So I was like, I think if you think about who you're connecting yourself with, and whoever that person is, combined with who you are, you're going to multiply. So it's like something I've learned, and I think people should learn in general, is spending more time in the getting to know you stage.
Yeah.
Things feel good and you move with it, but, like, hang around somebody long enough, after the 3 months, after the 4, after the 5, and you start to see it. But sometimes before you even get to 3 months, you already started having sex, you done already moved in, you've already set your life up, and then you're figuring out who they really are, and you're already
after
bonded.
the fact. Yeah.
So
that's funny. Because that made me think about oh, excuse me. When you said the 3 months thing, because you sent me that podcast about how to not date a jerk or something.
Oh yeah, it's a book. How to avoid falling in love with a jerk.
Yes, and I remember he said that on the podcast about you know, at least giving it 90 days, because like it's just like a job. You know, you don't get certain benefits until you reach the 90-day period.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And he was saying like you should treat relationships like a job. And I say this goes for friendships too as well. Like, I think it's okay to date your friends as well and like get to know them. Like, when I first moved here, I didn't really do that. Like, I kind of was just hanging out with anybody, going to the club, and it was just like the relationships were rooted in nothing and drinking and, you know.
The first time I met you, we spent like the whole day, because
what did we do?
We were at it was the Caribbean week or whatever, and I met you. Our mutual friend left, and we still.
Oh yeah.
Were like,
that was the first day we met.
Yeah, we were together like the whole.
We were.
Rest of the evening.
Okay.
And it was like, what we doing next?
Right. We was with. Damn, that was a great summer.
To build on real things.
Yeah, of course. And I know, like, you know, the mutual friend that we had, like, she's good people's, and it's like I had already spent time with her, you know, enough time to know that she ain't gonna put me around no crazy ass people. You know what I mean? So it's like, it was whatever.
She's good people.
For sure. But yeah, I think it's okay to date your friends and just like take the time to get to know people. That's, like you said, we don't do that all the time, and it'd be like,
look, I'm not even trying to sound like an expert. It's because I figured it out on my own.
Yeah, and that's that on that, for real. Mm-hmm. But I also think like the beauty of moving on and letting go, it gives you the opportunity to open up in your heart and your mind to new people and a new perspective on life. And I've noticed that whenever I move on from a situation or from somebody, like, all these new things like start to happen, and it's like even though it's like, okay, like the situation is dead or whatever, like we probably won't come back from this, like it gives me the time to reflect. But also when I'm reflecting, it gives me the opportunity to like meet somebody new, like whether it's a romantic partner or a friendship or whatever. It gives me room for the things that need to be in my life at that moment. So it's like, I think people have to just do a better job with like opening up and receiving. Like when something bad happens, we just like kind of close off and like don't talk to me, like I don't want to fuck with nobody type shit or whatever. So have you ever experienced like when you leave a situation, you know, something new happens, or what happens when you move on?
So just kind of like my process.
I guess your process and your experience, like what your experience is after moving on. Yeah.
This is like pre or post healing, or in the
middle. What's your definition of pre-healing?
Pre-healing, I'm still just jacked up.
Okay.
From the breakup.
Okay.
And then like the process, and then when you're kind of,
I guess both.
Healed from it, looking back.
I guess both.
I don't know. I've been bad at breakups. Like, we broke up Monday, but ain't for real break up till like a month later.
You're still lingering, yeah.
Still lingering.
Yeah.
I think cold turkey is the best way to go that I've learned. It's difficult, but I feel like it has to be out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
Delete the number, Instagram photos, everything has to go. Ooh. And I have to act like I never knew you. So that's a part of, I guess, the process for me. And then eventually each day gets easier, and it's like, oh, I think about you less. And then that's when I feel like the lessons start to come, like, man. And then everything just becomes clear. Yeah. I've had to break up with someone that I didn't want to break up with, but I felt that I needed to. And then I had to deal with the back and forth, and then eventually I was like, oh, that was a really good decision. But it didn't become clear until I got to the point that I felt like I was over it and realized it wasn't for me. Right. So I think each person is different, whether it was healthy, unhealthy. Either way, I mean, heartbreak hurts, even if you're the one breaking up with somebody.
Right. Yeah.
I've never been broken up with. I'm just saying.
Really? I've been broken up with. A couple times.
But I feel like it didn't even matter because I still walked away just like shattered. So
yeah,
it felt to me
it didn't matter.
It
Yeah,
matter.
right. Yeah, I'm just, when you said like deleting pictures and shit, that just made me think like,
child, I have you shooting a text.
Look. Let me tell you something. So my last ex-boyfriend, before I moved here,
oh, I have been ghosted though, so that counts as a dump.
Yeah, I've been ghosted too. That's the thing out here. Niggas will ghost you out here in Houston. They don't give a damn.
Let's do ghosting.
How good you look.
But my bad.
I got ghosted when I first moved here. I met this guy from Twitter, right? We went out to eat. We went to Diablo's, and that nigga left me at Diablo's by myself to pay the bill.
Wait, did you tell me this?
I think I did. Did I?
You was at Diablo's. It all came together.
Child, I don't go back to that place very often. I try not to visit there because it's just too many bad apples I met there, or I met there, or I was meeting there. So yeah, I try not to step foot in that place.
I learned a lesson about letting go, being ghosted mid-relationship.
You said mid-relationship?
Mid-relationship. Like,
really?
I had a whole relationship, and then
he just disappeared?
Like, no more phone calls, no more texts.
Wow.
Like, and then it was like, oh, it's been a week. It's been 2 weeks. It's
wow.
been a couple months. Oh, wow, 2 years later. Yeah,
it's fucked up. Did he ever say, like, why?
Oh, no, he reappeared like, years later, liking all my Instagram pictures. Like, every single one of them. That was the reappearance. 2 years later.
And he just thought, like, shit was just going to be cool again.
I don't know what he thought. But, man, Zakia, you got me out here talking.
Sorry to that man. But, no, I was going to say, like, as far as, like, letting go, moving on, like, that's one of the things I was going to talk about later about, like, that's how you can move on. It's just, like, you know, deleting numbers, blocking, whatever it is that you got to do. But it made me think about, like, my ex my most recent ex, I should say, from back home in Connecticut. Like, we still kind of communicate. And I was just thinking, like, I still have all the pictures from when we were dating in my phone because, like, and that was 4 years ago. Well, 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, about 5 years ago. It's because, like, one, the pictures look really good. And, like, I look really good. Like, what the fuck?
It's crap.
But it won't look good. Like, it's just like...
Okay. So it's for the aesthetic.
Yeah, the aesthetic was like Tumblr. Like, it was giving me... it's giving me Tumblr, you know? The Tumblr... I was heavy in Tumblr back then. Like, you know, it's giving me Tumblr mood board type shit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, like, yes, I keep the pictures, and I noticed I've been catching myself, like, going through my pictures and, like, wanting to text or call because it's like, we still cool or whatever. Like, there's no bad blood. Like, that's my guy. But, you know, as I'm, you know, moving on with my life, like, I know, like, I can't keep talking to this nigga because I feel like that's the reason why I'm being held back from having true, possibly one of the reasons, like, I don't know all the reasons, we're still unpacking that in therapy, but possibly one of the reasons why I haven't really experienced true romantic love since we've been broken up, because it's like, we still be talking like nothing happened, you know, like, we're not together type shit, you know, so, but I've been doing good, though. I haven't reached out. It's been a couple months, so.
Yeah, you gotta figure out, like, there's some relationships that turn into friendships. That hasn't been the case for me.
Right.
But I have friends who have, like, really built a genuine relationship with their ex, and it's truly friendship. Like,
right.
They've both moved on.
Right.
You know, so that can happen. I don't think that's super common.
Right. It's not common.
You know, you have to kind of take inventory and think, what is this doing for me?
Mm-hmm.
So since it seems clear that you know that you have to pull away.
Right.
I haven't experienced friendship post-relationship.
Really? This is like my first... Well, I shouldn't say that. I have another ex that I'm still friends with. Like, where...
I don't hate any of them.
I don't really hate any of my exes either.
I think there's no purpose in you being here.
Yeah, I got you. Like, But one of my exes, like, we were already friends prior to us even dating, so it was just like us being friends is just
that
not...
makes it hard when there is a friendship first, because you feel like you breaking up from the friend and the romantic part.
Oh, but the breakup was great though. It was okay. It was just like,
sometimes that's still a reason to pull away.
Yeah, well, you know, after we broke up, we just didn't talk for like a year, and then we rekindled. But you know, we still cool though. Like, we still, we don't really kick it, but it's just like, you know, if I need something, whatever, blah blah blah. If he needs something, then you know, we connect and we talk. We may talk on the phone every 6 months to a year, whatever, and it's cool. Like, it's nothing.
Do you think closure is necessary?
Do I think closure is necessary?
Like,
that's a good question.
I have to talk to them and have a final conversation.
I think it depends. Like, that's one of the things, like, I, you know, discuss with my my therapist about closure, because, like, you know, I was talking to her about, you know, I was unpacking the breakup that I had with my friend, and I was just like, you know, like, I want to talk to her, you know, like, I want to figure it out. Like, I want to see, like, okay, even if we aren't friends again, like, can we just have a conversation about what just happened? Because, like, we've been friends for so long, you know, like, she knows my deepest, darkest secrets. Not saying, like, I think that she's going to tell them, but it's just like, damn, like, this was my friend, you know what I mean? So, and she was just like, sometimes closure doesn't look like having a conversation, you know, like, with the other person. It may look like, you know, you writing a letter, or like you said, like, deleting pictures. And I kind of started doing that, but I guess it just depends on, like, where the two people are at in their own individual lives and journey. Like, I'm okay with it, like, having an adult conversation and just be like, hey, like, this is why we're not continuing this relationship, and I no longer wish to speak to you, or I no longer wish to fuck with you, or we could be cool, but we just can't be cool like that, or whatever. I don't know. I guess it just depends on the situation. How do you feel about closure?
I feel like you have to just make your own. And I used to really feel like you had to have that final conversation, that final moment. But I think after the relationship I had where that person ghosted me, I had to make my own closure. I literally had no option.
Right.
Like, he just disappeared.
Right.
So it was like, okay, don't make up any scenarios of what you could get.
Yeah.
How, you know, why? Just, I mean, it wasn't my fault. So it's just like, okay.
And he clearly let you know what's up. Like, you know, like, why?
I kind of got to the point that I felt like it wasn't going to last. So I wasn't like, I wasn't surprised it ended. I was surprised it ended the way it did.
Right.
So.
Yeah, for sure. I think, like, so in some cases, like, especially, like, if you've had, like, say, for example, you having, you know, a problem that just keeps coming up, and you keep talking about the problem or whatever the case is, then, yeah, maybe cutting off communication because this person don't fucking listen, maybe that's what you need. But, like, I don't know. I don't think it's anything wrong with having that final conversation
if they're reasonable.
Yeah, right.
I've tried to have final conversations, and, like,
it didn't work out.
It was just, hey, I just want to talk, and it's like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, that cold, like, no, I'm straight, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you're hurt, but it's fine, I'll take it.
Right.
So, I mean, sometimes you can't, and you have to make peace with it anyway.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. It's a case-by-case situation.
Yeah, I had, I done told y'all about this guy, but...
You got me nervous when you said it.
No, the Nigerian guy,
okay.
child. I was just thinking, that made me think about, like, because, like, I guess when we got to the point where it was, like, this is going nowhere, like, I kind of wanted to have that final conversation and be like, hey, like, you know, this is what I want, and this is what you're not giving me, so it's like, there's no need for us to be talking anymore. But we didn't have the conversation, and he kept playing around, so eventually I was like, don't contact me anymore, you know, like, there's no need for us to keep talking because we're not getting anywhere, you know, like, But I wanted to have that conversation with him before it was just like, I'm cutting off all communication. It's like, I tried to give you a chance, homeboy.
But timing is everything, too.
I'm still not talking to that nigga because he play too much. And I don't have time for childish ass niggas.
There's a wrong time to have the right conversation. I've learned that, too.
I guess, like, I also don't have a lot of... I'm working on my patience.
I'm very impatient.
Yeah. You're very patient. You're way more patient than me.
I'm patient with my friends.
Oh, I see.
I think I'm patient in aspects of, like, relationships, but, like...
Yeah.
No. I don't know.
In general.
Maybe it's because internally I know I'm just, like, kind of having a moment.
Right.
So I appreciate that that's what you see, but that's not what I feel. At all.
But it's okay because, you know, we still working on it, and that's on period. All right. So I definitely want to go over, you know, what happens when you let people go and you move on with your life. First, I want everybody to understand, like, it's okay to be upset about a relationship ending. Like, it's okay to grieve a relationship. Whether it doesn't matter what kind of relationship it is. It could be a family member, it can be a former friend, a lover, whoever. Like, it's okay to grieve relationships. So take the time to do that. And if you need to grieve by, you know what, I don't want to promote alcoholism, but if that is what your heart desires and it's within reason, do it. Hang around friends, whatever it is that you need to do to grieve.
Don't drink by yourself.
Yes. Don't drink by yourself.
Yeah,
hard alcohol. It's okay to have a beer by yourself.
It depends on, you know your limits, your history.
Or wine.
You know, if your auntie and them used to get drunk, maybe you shouldn't go there first. Cause,
right. No.
So.
You are absolutely right.
I'm just,
alcohol can definitely suppress your emotions, and that's why I don't drink hard alcohol like that anymore. But yeah, reach out to your friends, your support system, whoever's in your support system, whatever that looks like for you, a therapist, to talk it out and to, you know, just maybe you need a laugh, maybe they help you laugh, watch a movie with them, whatever it is that you need to do. Take your time. Take your time. It does not have to, like, if you cut somebody off or they cut you off or whatever, you don't have to be like, yeah, I'm over this nigga or I'm over her after a week. You know what I mean? Like, take all the time you need to move on and to, like, you know, process your emotions, because you just never know, like, what's going to come of you taking your time from, you know, processing all of this information, because this is a new chapter in your life. Whether you think, like, it's not always, like, sometimes it depends on the relationship. It could be significant, you moving on. But, yeah, it's a process. So just take the time that you need to move on. And this is me talking to myself, because sometimes I'll be like, yeah, fuck that. And a week later, you over here like, I don't want to talk to him. Yeah, but we still off that, though. I'm still an advocate for moving on. But don't be online crying either. Don't be on Instagram crying. Don't be on Twitter crying.
Is that normal? People just on the gram?
Yo.
You're talking about, like, what they say or, like, literally?
What they say and on the gram. You know, you want to know something? I don't know if you... Sometimes I do my best not to keep up with this bullshit. But, you know the makeup artist Jeffree Star?
Yeah.
He's now dating this basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
And the basketball player, I guess he was dating this woman. The basketball player I don't know his name. I don't even know anything about him. But he had a baby with this girl not too long ago. The baby's probably less than a year old, but I think that they were together. Mm-hmm. So after Jeffree Star came out and started posting pictures with this, you know, guy, the baby mama, she was on the internet, like, begging this man to, like, come back to his family, because she was just like, what did I do to you? I can't believe you, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It was sad. I'm just like, there's no way. You know what I would rather do to be begging a man to fuck with me on the internet? I would rather eat some jeans. Or I would rather sweep the ocean, the bottom of the ocean, than to go on the internet and beg a man to be with me. It was sickening to see. So
it's pretty sad though. That's a messed up situation to be in, but
right. I don't know the backstory if, you know, she knew he was bisexual before he came out publicly with this makeup artist. And this makeup artist, I don't know too much about him, but he's got called being racist and shit. So it's just like, it's a whole thing or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, but I would just say, like, take your time. Like, don't rush to judgment and don't be letting everybody know your business either on the internet. Like, do it privately, please. In private or with your friends. Like, you don't gotta do it, but don't do it on it. Don't embarrass yourself. Yeah, don't do that. Please don't. I don't do that. Reflect. This is when you break up with somebody. Reflect and take accountability for the role that you.
Accountability. That's the word.
Today's word is accountability. Take accountability for the role that you played in the relationship. I cannot express this enough because this is going to give you the opportunity to reflect on your own behavior and to see what it is that you need to improve or you need to fix or you need to get rid of. And this also helps you figure out what you want out of relationships too. Like when you reflect and you take accountability, because it's like if you're saying, okay, in this relationship, I was really impatient with this person, for example. And now you know, like, okay, my impatience fueled the fire in us not being friends or family or whatever the case is, or having a divorce. And so now moving forward, if you want somebody to be patient with you, then you need to be patient with others. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
take the time to reflect and take accountability for what it is that you need for the role that you play, because it doesn't matter if it was small or big. Like, you played a role in this relationship, and even though it may not be like the end all be all, the ending of your relationship, like you were there and you participated, so you should take the time to reflect on that. Make peace with it. Make peace that it ended, child. They gone.
It's okay.
Once a good girl's gone, she's gone forever. You feel me? I'm going forever, okay? I'm going forever. I'm going forever. Honestly, the only people I may make up with is my family, and that's a maybe, because they be tripping sometimes too. But make peace with it and forgive, and understand that forgiveness takes time. Like I said, take your time, but forgiveness takes time. Like, forgiveness is not like a 1-2 thing. Like, okay, I forgive. Like, I just forgive them. But it's like, it's steps to forgive. It's levels. It's levels to forgiveness. Like, you really gotta, like, unpack with forgiveness. Like, you really gotta be okay with, like, moving on, because it's like, if you forgive somebody and you keep bringing them up, or you keep thinking about what they did, or, you know, you keep holding on to it, it's like you're never going to move on or find peace with the fact that they did something to you or whatever, or it ended badly. So forgiveness, accountability and forgiveness, people, for real. But yeah, I just want everybody to try these things, because it's a lot of death going around in 2020, like with the virus and just people, just things happening. It's like, and it's crazy. Like, and even for me, I know death, like, it happens, it's a part of life. But it's just like, you know, we just have to figure out and understand, like, you know, it's okay to move on, and, you know, things happen. And things happen. And I want everybody to know that just because somebody dies or, you know, life is short, it doesn't always mean that you have to go back to toxic situations. Or, you know, if you made peace with the situation and you moved on, like, make peace with it and let it be. Like, because you may meet, to me, I feel like you may meet this person that you stop fucking with in another lifetime, and y'all may have a better experience, you know, like, and you trying to hold on to it is only gonna stop you from having that better experience. And it may not be the same person, whatever, like a different soul or a different spirit, like something may remind you, but if you still holding on to it, like, you may not be able to receive that, you know what I mean? So yeah, just because people die doesn't mean that you have to rekindle situationships that, you know, you didn't want to. So, let me know how y'all feel about letting go, moving on, what you do. If you try these things, let me know. This is your homework, people. Facts of Life listeners. This is your homework. Let go and move on. Period, boo. All right, so I want to thank Joy again for coming and hanging out with the podcast.
Always.
Yeah, and I hope that, you know, your time back home is beautiful and you have a great time with your family. You get to reset, recharge, relax, release, relate. Do whatever it is that you need to, you know, get back to. Gotta find my way back. Way back. Yes. Anything else you would like to leave the listeners?
Man, no. Just know you don't have to settle.
Yes.
You don't have to settle.
Right.
You don't. Especially just when it comes to relationships. Just don't settle. Doesn't matter if you're about to be 30,
40.
Just don't settle. You can do better. Mm-hmm. He's not that great. Mm-hmm. You can do better than that.
Yes.
And think about just the rest of your life.
Right.
So,
yes.
Just love on yourself and find somebody that's going to love you as you are.
That's a word, because, like, when you take the time to love on yourself, like, you open new opportunities and experiences in your life. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, do that. But before we leave, I want to make sure that you guys are subscribing to this podcast. Stop what you doing. I said stop what you doing. And subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, SoundCloud, and share the podcast. Let me know your thoughts, reviews, and I appreciate you guys for listening, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.
Damn, I thought y'all was gonna go longer. I was running to get the charger and shit.
Oh.
It was definitely about to die.
Oh, really? Is it dead?
Nah, it ain't dead, but it was